At only 26 years old, Terry Byrne lives his life a little differently from most people his age. He fought in Afghanistan for Great Britain and came back in August 2008 without a leg.
I was just leading a patrol through the night, stood in a ditch, straight onto an IED, basically a landmine, which blew me off my feet. My leg was severely damaged and my hand was as well.
Terry's family was relieved with his optimism.
At first he was massively worried about it, but they seen me in hospital, I still had my spirits up and stuff, and they started to look into the prosthetic limbs and stuff, and it didn't get me down whatsoever, and that sort of brought them up, and they realised life goes on at the end of the day. You make do with what you got.
His career on the front lines is over, but his life has taken a new direction. Terry started cycling 7 months after returning from Afghanistan and is training for the Paralympics in 2012. He's the only soldier injured in Afghanistan to be training for the Games. Terry's part of a program called Battle Back, created by the Ministry of Defense in 2008 that uses sport to get soldiers active. It's modeled off of a Canadian program. Major Martin Kolkloff is a representative for Battle Back.
Well, Canada's actually played quite an important role. It started a programme a few years earlier than Battle Back called Soldier On. So it became a bit of an inspiration and a bit of a driver for playing catch up with the Canadian programme, really. Battle Back programme started 2 years ago here at Headley Court, and we provide opportunities for all our sick, injured and wounded personnel to take part in sport again as part of getting back to an active lifestyle.
Martin took some soldiers to the Canadian 2010 Paralympics to inspire their training.
We took 7 athletes to Canada, and the goal for them was to have a Paralympic experience, to really feel what it was like to be at a Paralympic Games. So that'll spur them on in their training over the next 2 years if they want to repeat that experience.
The Paralympic movement started with World War II soldiers at Stoke Mandeville Hospital in 1948 at the London Games. It's no surprise that now there could be as many as 10 former soldiers representing Great Britain in the next Paralympics. Terry is one of those athletes who has a good chance of competing in London. He's been lucky, but it's been a difficult change.
I'm still learning myself, but it's just a massive commitment in everything, the way you are, the way you act, the way you focus. Everything in your life is focused towards going faster on the bike, and that's from no more drinking to the way you eat, your sleeping patterns. Everything's got to be focused on that race, otherwise you're not going to be number 1, number 2 in the world.
To keep up with commitment, Terry's leg was specifically designed for cycling.
I'll do my cycling leg, it's a bit longer and stuff for ankle flexion, and obviously connects straight into the pedal. And this is what keeps it on in the end, the suspension sleeve. Let's put this on, this is like a strong foam, and this is what protects my stump. Just make sure the sock's nice, no wrinkles. Let's stick straight into the carbon, the leg's full carbon. Just make sure that's straight. And then this protects it. And this is what keeps the leg on, the suspension socket. That's it, it's ready to connect straight into the bike.
While Terry is still developing, other former soldiers have already made it to the main stage. Sean Rose was a physical training instructor for the armed forces. After becoming paralyzed in a skiing accident, Sean trained for the sit ski event and represented Great Britain at the 2010 Olympics. He has been training for over 10 years now. He says his life has changed, but it's been a positive one.
Just talking about it, I get goosebumps, because obviously a week after your accident, you're never going to feel that, oh my God, this has been something that's going to enhance my life. When I can actually look back now with hindsight on what I've achieved over the last 10 years, and it has. It's made me see things from a different point of view. You look at life slightly different, but just to have that opportunity it's been incredible over the last 10 years, and a beautiful wife. We've got a little son, 22 months old now, and I can't imagine it being any different. So we don't look back on life at all. I wouldn't change back time, put it that way.
Athletes aren't the only ones thinking about the Paralympics. Olympics Minister Hugh Robertson says he wants to create a legacy for disabled sport in Britain. Having served in the armed forces himself, Hugh wants former servicemen and women involved in competitive sport.
I personally feel a huge emotional attachment to the armed forces, I think that sport provides a wonderful avenue out of the inevitable sort of slight depression and low feelings that will follow after you've been injured in active service. It gives them a fantastic extra avenue, a positive way forward. And I want to encourage as many people as possible who've been unfortunate enough to be injured in Iraq and Afghanistan to look for a new future through sport. And if we can use these games, both the Olympic and the Paralympic Games in 2012, to inspire those people, that will be a real success story.
Hugh says London has learned a lot from the success of Canada's Olympics.
The things that I picked up very quickly was the speed at which the nation got behind the concept as soon as you won a gold medal. And actually seeing some of the people who were responsible for it, John Furlong, notably afterwards, he said two very interesting things. One, we didn't realise how large it was going to be. We didn't realise the extent to which this would consume almost everything in Canada. And secondly, I wish we'd done more. And actually for us here in London, facing a very tight public expenditure period, what we must do is to make sure that all the programmes we've got in government that remotely touch this area or could be inspired by it are lined up alongside the Olympic and Paralympic Games so that every area of government benefits from the sort of turbocharging, the inspiration that an Olympic or a Paralympic Games gives.
Back on the track, Terry still has a lot of work to do before bringing home hardware. But after setting a world record at the Disability Grand Prix in Wales in May, Terry is hovering around the top seed in his event. He says he hopes to win a medal at the Paralympics, but knows the competition is stiff.
My long-term goals are London. It's what everything's geared up for here, and hopefully winning medals in London and breaking world records. So, every day we've got to think of that, and everyone else in the world is, and we've just got to train harder than them until we get to London. And I think, competing in the home games will be, I can't imagine it yet, but it's going to be amazing.
Terry's life is much different now than it was 2 years ago. He not only lost his leg, but the job he loved. Through his loss, he's gained a new community and another chance at representing his country. Another chance at glory.